Oh, turn the TV on.
I did. It is on.
Where's the remote?
Is the impact on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The auditors.
I got a camera.
Yep, sure.
Let me let him join or no?
3086. Who's 3086?
Could it be Brett? No. Yes, Brett.
Greg's here.
There's another phone number.
Maybe it's
Hold on, put up on that. Hopefully they can't hear me crunching. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we'll have to ask.
We know.
That's Greg.
Do we know who this is here?
Isn't that Greg?
No, Greg's right here.
Oh. Put it in though because it might be. Sometimes for Greg to connect the audio, I think it shows up like on the camera and also.
Oh, he's having a hard time connected to audio, so maybe he did it that way.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. And we can see it.
Are you at one of the phone
Okay.
numbers?
Yeah, I'm 202-880.
Okay.
Who's the phone number ending in 3086?
Tony,
Hi, Tony.
hi. I know I'm not supposed to be in this meeting, but it's gonna go quick because I'll be there very shortly, so.
Yeah, and everyone's welcome to, find opinions. So.
Yep. So who is the committee member we are? Brett.
I put on a little bit of Brett.
Just waiting on Brett.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Let's see, has Troy joined? Oh, Troy is there, and Greg is calling in. Oh,
Can you
Greg
see
is
me?
there. Greg is there. And we have John has joined us, and so is Rhett on?
Doesn't look so yet, no.
Who's that?
And who else is on the phone?
One is
Tony's
Greg's
here.
audio and Tony.
I'm sorry?
One is Greg's audio. He's on the phone and
Oh, and Tony. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have two of the three committee members.
Yeah.
And it looks like Tom is also on.
And John.
Tom Zuber.
Good morning,
Good morning.
or almost afternoon.
And how do we pronounce John's last name?
Rinkowitz.
Rinkowitz.
Yep.
Okay. Not as complicated as it looks.
Okay, that, I don't know who that is. That could be rough.
He always calls him.
Well, let's wait one more minute or so to see if
637-846.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Brett is going to join us.
Rhett just joined.
I'm on with audio. I'm just waiting to get into the Zoom meeting.
Okay.
So I'm here.
Okay, great. How's everyone doing today?
Well, thank you.
Lots of smiling, happy
You
faces?
don't have to do it.
No. As a matter of fact, no.
I'll hide
You
my hand.
guys are in the midst of doing all the Paris reporting.
Yeah,
We shouldn't even disturb you.
we have tomorrow reserved for it. We're all yours today.
Okay. All right. Red, are you okay to start?
I am okay to start.
Okay. All right. I'll call the meeting to order. This is the Audit Committee. And I'd like to ask for approval of our minutes of our last meeting for on December 14th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Rhett. Is there a second?
Is it in the packet in the front?
No,
I'm not
you guys
saying,
will-
Yes, it is.
This
I
is-
have the approval. of-
It was the second page after the title page, which was the agenda. It says draft audit committee meeting minutes for December 14th.
Right. And then the draft minutes, March 10th, 2020.
No, we're just approving the December 14th minutes.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, thank you. That's a thorough committee member. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Any additional comments, changes to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. So the next item on the agenda is to actually review the 2020 audit. And Greg is here and John and Tom. John and Tom are from Mango, Metzger and Barr. So they're our audit firm. So how do we want to proceed? Who's going to take the lead on doing the review?
I think, I'll just comment here. I think, I won't steal any of their thunder, but I'll let the guys from Mango go over, obviously there's a few different documents. There's the audit, there's a letter of recommendation or recommendations, a couple other management letter things. And I also think Tom has prepared. Tom, do you have that executive level summary that you're going to put together? Not go into all the detail of the financials, certainly ask questions that you guys have. Let him and John take it away and kind of go through the process, but certainly ask questions if you have them.
Yep, in fact, I do have that document, Greg. So what I'm going to do is just share my screen, and you should have, obviously, you've received copies of the draft financial statements, and John Rankowitz, who's one of our principals with the firm, he was really the on-site person along with Eva and Ted that participated in the audit. And there's a lot of good information in the audit. And what I did, and I'll just share my screen, is just prepare a financial executive summary. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. And excuse me, I'll just basically make a couple comments on the basic financial statements, and then we'll talk a little bit about the executive summary and highlight a few transactions. But obviously the financial statements are 31 pages long. There's a lot of good information in those financial statements. Obviously the audit opinion, which is an unqualified opinion, that's the first couple pages. There's also what's called a management discussion and analysis. That's within those financial statements. That's page 4 to 7. And that really is a high-level discussion about summarized information in the financial statements. It's prepared by management. There's some discussions about variances and so forth. So there's a lot of good information in there. And the intent is if you read that, you get a general idea of what took place during the year. And then, you finally get to the financial information on page 8 to 10, and then additional notes. And what I was going to do is just summarize some of the key financial information in this executive summary. Again, this information comes right from the audited financial statements. Just a couple of the key areas from the audit. Certainly, if you have any questions on the basic financial statements, we'll certainly react to those questions. But this really gives you a snapshot as of December 31st, 2020. And we do give you some comparison information from one year to the next. And again, as I mentioned on the bottom half, just some financial highlights to go along with the snapshot. Again, you ended the year in good financial condition. We did issue an unmodified opinion, no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. So that really is the opinion you're looking for. That's the standard opinion. It indicates the financial statements are fairly stated. A couple of the large bullet points, just you see your total assets, they did go down a little over $1.7 million this year. Obviously, there have been some challenges this year with regard to COVID. One of the more significant items, and we'll see that on the next page, is that the agency entered into an agreement with the Industrial Development Corporation to administer a loan program. The majority of the work has been completed through the end of the year. And that's one of the reasons why you see the large decrease in cash, really a $1 million outflow of cash from the IDA to the IDC. And then the other components just is an overall net reduction in your operating income. And we'll see that on the next page. But you do see that large reduction in cash primarily because of that. A couple of the other items just to note, again, from one year to the next, nothing too unusual. You do have some investments in land that has carried over the past few years, about 52 acres remaining to sell relating to future investments for folks. So you do see that value. That's the $625,000. Really nothing too unusual in the current liabilities, just really the timing from one year to the next of the transactions. The non-current liabilities, you do see a large increase from last year to this year. That really relates to the New York State pension system that the agency participates in. As part of the financial reporting requirements, you have to include your share of the unfunded pension obligations within your financial statements. So the New York State pension system does this calculation. They have their auditors come up with a calculation that identifies the funding status of the plan. The plan is currently underfunded. They're about 86% funded compared to about 97% last year. And as a result, the related liabilities, deferred inflows and outflows increased as it relates to that pension system. And again, all municipalities have to include this in their financial reporting. And again, this information is communicated to you by the pension system, and then you have to integrate it into your financial system. And the primary reason for the large change this year is, as you all know, this pension system, its fiscal year end is March 31st. And if you recall back March 31st, 2020, which is the measurement date, the financial markets, the stock markets, that was really at the lowest point during the beginning part of COVID. And as you know, the pension systems are heavily invested. And so if the market value of those investments are down at a point in time, the liabilities are much higher. And that really is the primary driver for that increase in the net, the non-current liabilities. There's deferred outflows and inflows that relate to the pension system too. Again, just timing adjustments. So the net impact to the agency ends up being about $140,000 on the current year. So just which is an overall increase of about $32,000 from last year. So that's just something to keep in mind as we look at the pension system. All right, and then overall, your unrestricted operations, you ended the year with a little over $7 million. Obviously, the reduction is related to the loan that went to the agency fund or the Industrial Development Corporation, as well as just the current operating activities as a result of COVID. So, which we see that on the next page when we talk about the income statement, the transactions, the revenue and expenditures for the year. But do you have any questions on that snapshot before we talk a little bit more about the revenue and expense?
Are there any questions?
Okay.
I guess not. So
All right.
you can
So
be
this
fine.
So this page just summarizes the revenue and expense. Again, I won't spend a lot of time on here. Really, the only item of a couple items to note: the fee income. As you know, the fee income is down this year, a little over $1.3 million. Obviously, the challenges as it relates to COVID. Also, last year there were several large projects that did generate fee income in excess of $300,000. I think there was 4 or more projects that generated fee income in excess of $300,000. So that was one of the big drivers of the reduction in the revenue.
Can you
Again,
refresh
which
our
impacted
memory
the
on what the key projects were?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Can you refresh our memory on what the key projects were?
For this current year?
No, last year for 19, we had, you said 3 or 4 larger projects. That's why the fee income was down for 20.
Yeah, I don't recall.
The MCC program, I would say.
No, it's the fee income that I was asking the question on.
And Apex was one large project that we closed in 2020.
Which one is that? I can't hear you very well.
Apex, a housing project, is one of the large fees, as I recall. Along with
How much was that? Do you know?
the fee to the IDA. I don't recall off the top of my head. I can give you that information separately. That was a large project, along with 525 East Broad, which is the CONAR development in the inner loop.
And do you have the income on that?
I don't. I have the project size was 42 million on the inner loop project, and Apex was a $27 million project.
Okay.
The Galena Xerox building was also a large project at a capital investment of 17.8.
Okay.
2018.
Good.
Oh, same thing there. Those were 2020 projects. Robin just pointed out that in 2019, I would have to look back at our status sheets that show what had closed in that year, but I could give you a summary of our largest projects in 2019 and 2020.
Okay. Okay. I just wondered what had driven the variance. So thank you, Rachel.
Sure.
You're the new CFO. Oh, no? Okay. I'm just checking. All right. Okay. Tom.
Yeah, so yeah, and certainly there is a nice summary that the IDA has. I just don't recall offhand, but there were 3 or 4 projects in excess of the $300,000 threshold. So the fee income, again, the reason for the reduction. The program expenditures, obviously, the program and community development type expenditures increased from a 1.1 million last year to $2.2 million this year. Again, the biggest driver of that relates to the $1 million emergency loan program. In addition to that, the components of that, you have the 10 project, the GRE project on 150,000 between the 2 of those. In addition, you have the Ladders Up program. That's part of that community development program. And again, those dollars were about 667,000 this year, again, up about 300,000 from the prior year. So a lot of activity in the program and community development aspect of it. So very positive. The operating expenditures, you can see those are fairly consistent from last year to this year. Primarily those, the largest drivers of those or components of those are your salaries and your professional services. Again, that represents about 87% of the 900,000 is your salaries and professional services. Again, fairly consistent from one year to the next. But you can see as a result of the reduction of the fee income that the overall net position didn't decrease by about $1.7 million from last year to this year. But the agencies did still end the year with a little over $7 million of position. So overall, that's a quick summary of the key financial information. You did have some pretty significant activity this year, especially relating to the emergency loan programs that relate to the Industrial Development Corporation. So very positive year. Again, the other discussion item just relates to a normal communications between the auditor and the audit committee that just talks about the audit timing, no disagreements with management. So just some standard items that are communication between the auditor and the auditee. Again, there were no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses as part of the audit process. Again, very positive from the financial reporting aspect. Do you have any questions, any additional questions on the financial statements?
Yeah, Tom, this is Troy. I see you summarized this page that we're looking at. I guess what drove the legal fees and why is there a decrease in legal fees of $222,000? Rachel, what were we working on that was a decrease?
In 2019, we were defending the Costello action, the pilot that was terminated, and at the request of the city. And Costello brought an Article 78 proceeding challenging the IDA's termination. The IDA did prevail in that lawsuit, and Costello has since appealed. But that was the significant expense in 2019.
Thank you.
Sure.
I was just thinking it was your pocket.
I don't bill ever, actually.
Her share isn't as large as the share that goes to the chair of the audit committee. So that was a good summary. Rhett, did you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. I don't get to see you very often, Rhett. Nice to see your face. So it sounds like it was a pretty good report. We were meeting all the standards for generally accepted accounting principles. There were no material deficiencies. There were no material audit adjustments. There were no material recommendations for internal controls or controls that we weren't met. I understand you were pleased that we did update the handbook, which was recommended by you at the end of the last audit. It sounds like you had unfettered access to our people and our records to perform your audit. I guess I would just have you affirm that we were available to you, and nothing or no one stood in your way to perform the audit.
Correct. Yeah. So the other letter, that I had referred to, communicates all of that, and yes, in fact, management was very helpful in providing us the information in order to complete the audit. It was very timely, obviously, in this remote world. There can be some challenges, but the audit went very smoothly. We did come on site for one day to look at some of the records, but again, the process did go very smoothly, and we do appreciate that.
Okay, is there any other aspect of the draft of the questions being posed to the committee members? Any other aspects of the draft of the audit that you'd like to hear more about? I'm assuming you have reviewed the draft. I didn't see any questions from myself that I had made notes on. The program community development, I had some questions on, but I was able to answer just going through the details on that. I guess, can we talk about page 27 of the audit that regards 2 claims that were filed against COMIDA for which the outcomes cannot be determined at this time? That's under the heading of pending and or threatened litigation.
Sure.
And I can answer that question. The first was the Costello litigation.
Okay, so the 2 that you already mentioned, those are the 2 that are being referred to in the
Yeah.
draft audit?
Yeah.
Okay. We don't have a sense at all for when that's going to be resolved or what the impact.
The court system is a bit slow at this point. I suspect that I'm cautiously optimistic that the lower court's ruling granting summary judgment in favor of COMIDA will be upheld by the appellate court. But I don't have a sense of timing on when we might know that. I hope certainly by year end.
Okay.
And I can check with Phil Spillane, who handles the litigation for COMIDA, and see if he has a better idea on timing.
Okay, that would be helpful.
Sure.
Anything else? Any other questions?
And
Yes.
I do have a question on, and it's probably not really that pertinent, but on page 23 at the top regarding the outflows for the pension fund, can Tom, are you able to explain how we came up with those figures going forward?
Sure. So again, as part of the auditing standard requirements, the Industrial Development Agency has to include certain information from the pension system within your financial statements. And the New York State pension system is really operated and controlled by the New York State Comptroller, and in fact has a separately issued financial statement. Their auditors are KPMG, and each year they have to go through an exercise and calculate each participant's share of the unfunded liability, in addition to all of the related items for the deferred inflows and outflows that are included in these financial statements. So the pension systems actually provide a letter to the Industrial Development Agency that outlines all of the information in here relating to the pension system. So New York State, the financial statement auditors of the pension system actually provide this information to us as it relates to those future outflows on the top of page 23. So there's a letter that contains all of this information, and what it ends up being relates to future adjustments for prior year changes. One of the unique items about the GASB relating to the pension systems is they try and smooth or avoid any large changes from one year to the next. So if there's a significant difference between an estimated value and an actual rate of return, or an estimated rate of return and an actual rate of return, those differences get captured in deferred outflows and inflows and get amortized over a period of time in order to avoid significant spikes from one year to the next. So that information is provided by the pension system accountants.
Thank you, Tom.
Sure.
Good question. Are there any other questions on that? All right, I will ask for a motion to accept the 2020 audit, and then we will, in the board meeting next week, ask the full board to approve the audit. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Rhett. Second?
Second.
Troy, thank you. Any additional comments, questions on that? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. I would just like to congratulate the COMIDA team, Anna and Robin and Rachel and everyone working on the audit and maintaining, good accounting principles and records throughout the year and being accessible. This is one of the best audits I think I've seen. Nice to have that affirmed by John and Tom and the team, and I'm assuming Greg also. But anyway, congratulations to you for keeping everything right where it needs to be without any material adjustments or weaknesses or all those descriptives that we really don't want to have. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Anne. And another shout out to Greg. This wouldn't have been possible without his expertise and involvement.
Okay, well, absolutely. We appreciate that too, Greg. Any other remarks from the team, John, Tom, on the audit?
It's not a question, and it's not probably to the audit, but more so to the loan. Is the plan with the loan going to just to defer the loans, or are we going to see any payback on the loans, or how is the loans going forward going to be handled?
Good question.
Well, again, I could maybe Rachel or Honor, in terms of, the obviously when the loan program was set up, there's no intention to pay the money back from the IDC to the IDA. The funds that were dispersed were for more to administer the program and help with all that increase in cost to manage the emergency loan program. The IDC is, fully expecting that when the loans start to get paid back, which I think is July of this year, that the recipients are all going to, pay as the agreement indicated. So, Troy, we don't know exactly what that's going to look like quite yet because we're not there when the first payments due. But that's certainly the perspective of management, or at least our perspective based on the agreements. I don't know if Rachel or anyone else want to add to that.
I think you summarized it well, Greg.
I agree.
So there's no intent to waive the payback on those loans.
No.
No. And it's too soon to know what percentage will actually pay us back.
Yeah, and it's a good point, and it's something that I do want to make it part. We'll have to figure out whether it's part of this committee or just updates to this group, right? About the program was a significant investment on the IDA side to help with that initiative, and so we do want to provide this group updates on where that stands. It's really hard to say, right? Because we're not there, right? We're collecting payments. Do we expect that some of these are going to be forgiven? Yeah. I think we'd be, people who went out of business, right? All those people who don't have the ability to pay those funds back, if they went out of business or whatever that is, will it be forgiven? I gotta imagine, when we get into those situations, we're going to look at that, at each individual case and determine whether we should forgive it or whether we should, there's another alternative payment structure plan.
With the government's CARES Act 1 and 2, at least one was for last year was forgiven this year. At the same time, they were rolling out, CARES Act 2 for stimulus money. So that I'm just wondering if folks are going to be expecting us to, do the same thing and say, you met these requirements and so on, and we're going to waive that payback. Just a thought.
Well, I would just comment on the CARES Act. I mean, it wasn't immediately forgiven, right? They had to meet certain requirements to use those funds.
It was a whole year later. The monies that were distributed last March were just approved, and at about the same time we got this year's money. I'm just referring to the businesses that have received those funds.
Yeah, I think we had met last week as a team to talk about, to get ahead of what that's going to look like when someone says I can't pay or I need this. What's our process? We've gone through that. It's hard because I think unfortunately, each individual case is going to be different, right? There's going to be some that are just, okay, they flat out went out of business. Their personal net worth, right? Because that's a component of the loan, is that it's personally guaranteed. Is that going to come into a factor? It certainly will, right? So
with the CARES Act, I think the forgiveness was given regardless of whether you could pay it back or not, if you met all the requirements of how the monies were spent and to measure that against gross receipts, and they were forgiven by the institutions that provided those loans.
Yeah, I would tell you that that's not exactly the same as the way this program was set up.
Yeah, probably not. Just asking.
But
there may be some expectation that,
we're aware of that.
Yeah. Maybe you could give us an update at one of the next board meetings on that.
Yeah,
We'll
because
do.
personally, I don't remember, did we ever review how many businesses we were talking about? Did we ever get that list, or was this just something, Anna and Rachel, was this just something? I don't remember the board ever seeing a list of who would receive the benefit. I know we had a ceiling of what was going to be available, first come, first serve, and how that process vetted out. Who did we get this money to?
I can get you a list of all of the loan recipients.
It's about 197.
That's what now you're refreshing me. I remember the number was up there.
Yeah.
And so 197 and a million, did the values fluctuate with everybody, or were they consistent, or?
Yes, value. So it was actually a $2 million loan fund.
Right.
MCIDC contributed $1 million. And yes, values values for the most part of the loans were the maximum amount of 10,000. Some were as low as about 4,000, but nothing much lower than that, as I recall.
So is the whole board going to be involved with, when we get down to this, Greg, or Anna, how are we going to, when it comes down to crunch time and people come to us and say we can't pay the loan, what is it, that mechanism is it that we're going to use to grant or defer it or not? Or I don't, kind of confused on how this is going to play out, I guess.
That'll be
Well,
by CIDC with guidance from Greg. Like he said, we just met last week to talk about putting some parameters around what does forgiveness mean? What standards are we holding the loan recipients accountable to? Right, Greg?
Yeah, right. So So Troy, we're basically putting together a list of information. If someone is going to request forgiveness, right? This is the 5 documents that we need to review, right? And we haven't quite decided whether it's going to be, okay, we're going to make a recommendation to a committee or directly to the board. But again, ultimately, internally, there's going to be a recommendation to either a finance loan committee, something like that, or the board directly to approve the forgiveness of each individual loan.
It seems like we probably should have an update, before we get all the way to July. Here's where we are, here's how many loans there were, here's the amounts, and what our expectations are. And then as the, cutoff is reached and we're expecting those loans to be paid back, if you could give us periodic updates, I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah, obviously, we saw on more globally some abuse here. As all, I want to make sure that as a board, we aren't missing
Good.
here.
Very good. Okay. All right. I guess we can thank our auditors for joining us today and for conducting such a fine audit. Unless you have anything else you'd like to say? No.
Well, thank you very much for having us today. We appreciate it. And thank you again.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is to review the audit committee charter. Did our members review the charter? And is staff or anyone recommending any changes to the charter?
No.
Okay. I'll ask for a motion then to adopt the audit committee charter.
Motion.
Moved by Troy.
Second.
Seconded by Rhett. Any additional questions on that? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the discussion of the audit committee self-evaluation. And I was just reviewing those results this morning. And I would say, there's just the 3 members, but generally the majority answered yes to all the questions. There were a few not sures that I think tied back to maybe just not knowing, where the bylaws have come into effect or the charter. There are some maybe educational opportunities for us here to look at the not sures and just update the committee with what our policies are on that and what we are doing to be in compliance. Does that make sense, Anna or Robin?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So why don't we follow? We're asking for the feedback, and some of the members are saying they're just not sure. So why don't we, just for the benefit of the whole committee, let's follow up on those and provide sort of a update to the committee members.
Will do.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But the majority of, as I say, of course, the members, there's only 3 of us, but answered yes to almost all the questions. Was that Troy? Rhett?
No, I
Rhett?
wanted to say that March was my first month, so I believe that if you're referring to me checking off a few of the not sure boxes, I believe it was because I was brand new at the time.
I see. Okay. Well, I have no way of knowing who said what or who rated what. It's all anonymous, right? But still, wouldn't hurt just to make sure that we all feel comfortable, because we did pick up a couple of new board members, and so I think that would be helpful.
And I have another, just,
Sure.
I know when I came on, I had to go do training, and that was part of one of the first things, and I participated. Is that have they changed anything that we have to do, like refreshers or any of that other type of formal training. I just cover my butt if I haven't done anything I was supposed to do and I have just overlooked it or whatever.
Well, we did a pretty comprehensive training when the 2 new board members joined. Rachel led that. There was one-on-one sit-down meetings to go over, Jobs Plus and, all of our procedures. But, and I'm not sure if there are any other topics where we should have some additional training as a full board at this point. We periodically have if something changed or was new or there were new legislative changes. I don't know, Rachel, maybe you could.
Sure.
update
So,
us on that.
as far as your initial onboarding training that the ABO requires, once you've done that, you're good. You don't have to do it again. There's nothing annually you need to do. We do try to use, Anne was good enough to host us for a couple of years to do an annual board retreat, which we use as an continuing education opportunity. And hopefully this summer, we'll be able to convene in a meaningful way, even if it's outside, and do that again. But you are covered as far as your required training.
Great.
I'd be happy to help, coordinate that again this summer if we're able to be together, in a room setting, have lunch, just like the good old days. But we could also do that virtually too. As if there are issues that we need to bring up. Okay, any other questions on that? Hearing none, the next item on the agenda is to review the policies and procedures. And the 2 policies that we would like to have approved are the internal controls and financial accountability and the whistleblower policy. Have you read those documents and do you have any questions? I don't think any changes are being recommended, correct?
No changes recommended.
Okay. Any questions on that? All right, I guess we need a motion to adopt the internal controls and financial accountability and whistleblower policies. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, thanks,
Second.
Brett. Second by Troy. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So Anna, Rachel, Robin, do we have any other business we need to conduct?
Not at this time, but very soon we'll have some more work for everybody to talk about. I appreciate everyone's time today and throughout this process, especially Robin managing, calendaring all of the committee meetings, et cetera, this month in tandem with all of our regular business. So very organized.
Congratulations, really. It's a significant audit, a significant year.
Okay.
But no, I was shooting out a bunch of questions to Robin this morning as Anna and Robin got right back to me. It was like a bullet point. She was right there. She had all the answers. So that makes us feel good as board members.
Yes. And it's hard to believe it's been a year now that we've been operating under these constraints because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
We should all have some optimism that hopefully the next few months will have good things in store. We can start getting back to normal.
That would be our hope for sure.
Yeah.
Thank goodness most everyone has stayed safe and well.
Yes.
Okay, I will then, if without any other business, I will adjourn this meeting and give folks a break who need to attend the next committee meeting that starts at 1 o'clock.
No, actually, finance starts right now at 12:45.
Oh, sorry about that. Then there is no bathroom break.
No bathroom break.
Okay.
No rest for the weary.
Okay, thank you very much. Troy and Rhett, and looks like Lisa has joined.
Yes, I'm here.
Lisa,
How are you?
good. How are you?
Good.
Is Troy on?
I'm here, but
Oh, it's Lisa,
It's Tony.
Brett, and Tony.
Tony.
Yeah, I'm here.
And Tony's
All
on.
right, we're ready. I'll call the meeting to order.
Yeah.
First item is the approval of the minutes from December 15th, 2020. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The next item is the review of the fee schedule. So any comments on that, or?
We're not recommending any changes to the fee schedule.
Okay. Then I'll make a motion to approve those.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. The next is a review of the Finance Committee's charter. I believe that hasn't changed either, has it, Rachel?
It is not, no, it is the recommended ABO charter. No changes recommended.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve those.
I'll second. Go ahead.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And there's the next item is discussion of the Finance Committee and self-evaluation. I took a quick look. It was just sent to me. I didn't see anything. I didn't have a big chance to take a look at it, but it looked okay to me. But if there's anybody else that wants to comment on that.
What page was that on?
So I just tallied those this morning, and I think I just sent it to Tony as chair.
Mhm.
All right, I can send them out right now, so I wasn't thinking, I don't know what I was thinking. But it's actually, and it looks very similar to the audit committee,
Okay.
very similar, actually.
Okay. So, make a motion to approve those?
No need for a motion, just a discussion if there's any topic anyone
All
wanted.
right. Okay. Well, all right. And let's see what's on our list. All right, I'll make a motion that we, let's see if there's anything else here. I'll make a motion to recommend to the full board to adopt the Finance Committee charter.
I'll second
All
that.
all those in favor? Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll make a motion to recommend to the full board to readopt the following policies: investment and deposit policies, disposition of property, and policy in procurement. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I think the last item is the motion to review the full board list of the financial institutions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think that's it. Is there anything I'm missing? No?
No, you got it.
No, you handled that in lightning speed.
Yeah.
All right.
I know, that was quick.
Yeah,
I
I'll
have a
make
couple of
motion.
questions on the first item, Tony. No,
Go ahead, Ann.
I'm just joking.
On the minutes. Oh, yeah.
You did such a good job, you know, that's an efficient.
Well, yeah.
I know you beat our last meeting. Our last meeting was like 25 minutes. This one was like 5 minutes.
Well, you know what? There's a lot on our plates. We got to get right to business.
There you go.
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Well done.
Not
Thank you, everybody.
Wow.
9-minute break before governance starts.
Now we do have 10 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you,
Tony.
Tony.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
All right.